It's Don here from the board. Thank you for checking in on another video. Today we're going to be doing a review on the Happy Hacking Keyboard Professional 2. The keyboard itself is commonly known as the HHKB. It comes in a couple of different models. There is the Pro 2, there is the Type S, there's the Japan, and there's also the light version plus the anniversary edition as well. Now, in this video, we're only going to be looking at the Pro 2 because that's actually the keyboard that I have. What's so special about this keyboard? Well, it's really hard to say if there's anything super special, but it is one of the favorites in the community. And quite often, it's one of the more recommended Topre keyboards, otherwise known as the hybrid capacitance switch type keyboards, made by the company Topre, and it has a very extensive history in both recommendations and usage. So we'll have a look at the actual keyboard and how it performs, its looks and my thoughts on the keyboard as well. So that's it's living in one of the sleeves that I've made, and we'll bring this baby out and we can have a look. Alright, so there is my HHKB Pro 2. There you see, Professional 2. Now this is the white edition. There is also a black/dark grey edition as well. Now, the keyboard itself is made by, I think, Fuji. Let me just have a look at my side screen here, if I can find any details about it. I know it's made in Japan, and supposedly from the English details from Elite Keyboards, I'm just going to read off the screen. It's a 60 key modified US ANSI layout. It has 45 gram sensitivity with a 4mm travel. Its dimensions is 11.6 by 4.3 by 1.6 inches, or 294 by 110 by 39.9 millimeters. It has a detachable USB mini B interface, and if you did actually get it stock, it would have come with a 1.8 meter cable. It has an integrated USB 2 hub with a limited current supply of 100 milliamps. The keycaps, stock keycaps, are PBT, except for the spacebar, which is ABS, and it has die sub keys with a total weight of 530 grams. So that's sort of the rundown specs of it. What's unusual about this compared to a lot of keyboards, especially other 60% keyboards, is the fact that it does have a modified layout. Now, this layout is very popular within the keyboard community. You'll find a lot of people who emulate this, and they obviously call it the HHKB layout. Now, I do actually have a Magistouch full size up here, and you can just do a very simple comparison of the layout and its size. You can see, there we go, just lining that up. This is also known as a Win keyless layout because of the fact that you can see that it doesn't actually have the Win key. There's a bit of space kind of wastage if you're into functionality of space, but it does have quite a aesthetically pleasing look about it. Now these are actually stock keycaps as well, and you can see they're very clean, well placed, the font's lovely to look at. The layout is also slightly different in that the tilde key is actually over here instead of traditionally next to the 1 where the escape key is. You've also got a delete instead of a backspace by default, and the control is actually there instead of caps lock, because to be honest, most people who are competent and confident typers, programmers and so forth don't actually use caps lock very often, if anything at all. Shift keys to capitalize for sentences and whatnot, but if you do actually end up typing a lot, then you can just use a function layer to get to the caps lock. And as you can see, it does have these symbols which are supported for Mac layout. Now, what's different by stock is that I've actually flipped my spacebar because I prefer flip spacebars instead of the standard way around, and you can see that as well on my Magistouch there. You can see as I tilt up, there is the front print, which shows the different layers as well using the function key. So you've got stop, and then you've got the volumes. I'm just gonna maybe tilt that, there we go, and it won't be so lit up. You can see that over here you've got the home, end, page up, page down, print screen, scroll and pause. You've got the F key row that runs all the way across the top, and you can actually function to get your backspace as well. So that's another option. And you can see under the tab key there is the function key caps instead. Now this is a very compact keyboard. It's a 60% keyboard at 500 grams. It's pretty light. It has an ABS 2.5 case construction. You'll see there's the USB hubs that it talks about with the 100 milliamp limit. There's the USB-B connector, and it's controlled using dip switches for the different layouts that you want. And behind this cover is the actual dip switches. So you can see a couple of dip switches there, and I've got two in the middle up at the moment. If we flip over to the back of the keyboard, you'll see the metallic sticker, which actually has all the details. Now I'm just going to lift that up. So the model is the PDKV400W, and W stands for the white, because if you get the black edition, it will be the 400B. Now you'll see my keyboard actually is manufactured in 2012. So it's getting on now. Now it's 2017 now, so it's 6 years. It's almost going to be, no, sorry, 5 years in November, mental blank there. And you'll notice that it also has the switch modes for the dip switches, so you can actually run the different functions as well. Now I've actually covered that with magic tape just to protect that sticker, because I didn't want it all scratched up and whatnot, but obviously that doesn't affect its performance. In regards to Topre switches and rubber domes, people say that usually around after 5 years the actual switches get heavier, they get a bit stiffer, and they feel a bit different. It's very hard for me to say what it's like because I don't have a newer one versus an older one to actually do the comparisons, and I also haven't done weight testing. I probably should, but I don't really feel the need to, because that's just the way it is for me right now. I do have good scales. I can get a whole bunch of coins and I can do weight testing, but maybe some other time. We do have flip out feet, so there's actually two positions. There's the inner for the short, and then there's the outer one for the deeper position. So if we flip both of them up, you can't really see it on the table, but you can actually see the back of it. The angle is actually quite raised because now you can see the ports on the camera, whereas when both of them are down, you can barely see them at all there relative to the camera. Now if we show it on a side angle, the default is actually quite a hefty wedge. It's quite a very large angle naturally, which means you probably don't need to actually use the feet unless if you really enjoy a high angle, because with the inner feet it's a very small change, but then with the outer feet it's a very big change. So just be aware of that. Now it does have these two bits of rubber at the front to stop it sliding, because there's no rubber on the actual feet on the back itself, and as you can see, if I just put it there on my table, it kind of moves a little bit because it's such a light keyboard. Now, one of the complaints that you do find on reviews about the HHKB is the actual ABS shell, the case, because if you can hear that, that's because the case is actually slightly warped. It's not much that you can really do about it because that's just the way that the ABS shell is. And you can't really see it probably very well, but you can hear it. That creaking, that's also because the ABS actually does flex. I have done a bit of typing on it. It's not my main driver because I'm an old dog that finds it difficult to learn new tricks. And what I mean by that is, in regards to using control functions, I'm too accustomed, at the moment anyway, to switch my thinking and usage to hitting the control there for my control C, V, Bs, etc, etc. So for me, typing on it, casual typing, home typing, that's well and good because I don't really need to do a lot of that functionality. But for work, because at work I use a full-size standard layout with the Win key, it does pose problems for me. And also because I use numpad a lot for work, as I've said many times before, that's why the 60% really hasn't sort of made it there. And it doesn't have a full-blown sort of way for me to reprogram. Whereas, for example, I'm looking forward to giving the ergodox a try, because I will be programming a numpad layer into it, so I can potentially run a full 104 layout within the ergodox. So yeah, that's sort of the quick and dirty layout, quick and dirty review, sorry, of the keyboard. You can see it's got some nice curves in that profile to it as well. I did have a video in putting this back together, because I did actually strip it apart a while ago and I put it back together. Has no effect at all in regards to its functionality. This is stock. This is unlubed. There are no silencing rings on it. There are no silencing pads. And let's get into doing some sound testing. So I'm just going to swing the mic over and get it a bit closer, and you can sort of appreciate the sound of the Topre. So the microphone is nice and low and close. Now you can hear that there's a bit of a rattle, because of the fact that when I'm hitting some of the side keys, the actual keyboard is flexing and rocking on the table. Now if I jack the legs up, I don't know if that's going to make it any better or not. It's eliminated it somewhat, and we'll see if it sounds very different or not as well. So okay, let me just readjust my microphone again. So there you go. There's a bit of a look and a sound as well of the HHKB Pro 2. In terms of overall thoughts, I do like it. The feel of the Topre is nice. That thocking sound is very different to MX style keys, especially because on my normal keyboards I run with clickies, so not having the click is different, and there is that tactility and the collapse of the dome, which is quite nice. I like that. The keys are very nice. They've got some great texture on it. It's not like perfectly smooth, the PBT. There's a little bit of texture on it, so it's not silky, and there is the homing bars on the J and F there instead of scoops or dots. The look is very clean. It's it's a professional keyboard in the sense that I can put it in the office and people will be like, oh wow, that's nice. And it is nice. It's just unfortunate that there is no other part here. Yeah, is it worth the $200 odd that you will find it on the Mac market? And to be honest, I will actually say yes. It's a great performing keyboard. Obviously my keyboard is from 2012, as the sticker on the back says. It's getting a little bit on in the tooth. I bought the secondhand. I don't know if the person who I bought it from bought it secondhand or not. And I don't have a problem with it. It performs flawlessly. It's just really more of a fun keyboard for me to have rather than a serious keyboard, simply because I have other choices and options at the moment. If you're looking for one, I would say enjoy it. Have a good time with it. If you're not sure about getting a Topre, it's a lot of money to put down. And if you don't know if you're going to enjoy Topre, it's really tough. It's really tough. If you can get hold of somebody's to borrow, then by all means, that would be the best way. And if you're after just the sound, well, it's an expensive way to enjoy the sound. But hey, that's what we're here in the community to enjoy, the feel and the sound. So going on from here, there's obviously a lot of keycaps that you can get to modify your keyboard with, both artisans and for functionals, because you can get PBT spacebars for Topre. They come up every so often, for example, on Massdrop, as well as on Mech Market. There's lots of artisans that are making spacebars now that will suit as well. I personally don't think that I need to change these keys because they're such good quality, as well as the fact that they do have the default layer settings on them, which helps me greatly because I'm really horrible at using blanks. Now my Magis Touch here, as you can see, also has front prints on it as well. So if I could get full front prints with the layers somehow printed differently as front prints, then I'd be happy to change that too. But yeah, I don't think I really need to. So that is pretty much it. Oh, well, there's the short shift and there's a function layer there. What I will do at some point in another video is I'm going to do a comparison and shootout between the Happy Hacking, the HHKB, and the Leopold FC660C. Now, these two keyboards are compared against each other a lot. It's quite sort of a common question that you'll get, if not weekly, then most likely fortnightly, where people go, oh, you know, I can't decide between the two of them. And hopefully if I do a comparison between the two of them, then, you know, it might help some people along. So I do have both. And yeah, we'll get to that when we have some time. So thank you very much for checking this video out. If you like the review, please hit like. You know, if you know somebody who's looking to get a HHKB and they're not quite sure, please share the video so that they can check it out and form a bit more information and opinion about it. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, then please make sure you hit the subscribe button, because it'll help us get more visibility, as well as we know that you guys are interested in our content, and then we'll keep generating more. If you haven't checked out our podcast series as well, you can find it online at www.theboardpodcast.com. You can also check out our posts on Reddit, on the subreddit Are Mechanical Keyboards, and we do weekly sessions, usually released on a Sunday. That is pretty much it for the moment. So, until next time, happy clacking.